Straight the show.
And we're live.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of In the Zone, episode 123. Oh my God. We're going to kick it off with a little hoop talk. The Toronto Raptors, they're fucking rolling, aren't they? 10 losses in a row. Latest one coming against the Houston Rockets, who broke their 20-game losing streak, which is just another world. Oh my God.
Oh,
guys, I don't know if you saw I was watching the game last night, and it looked fine up until John Wall hit that 360 lay on Siakam. Like a couple possessions before that, I'm like, they're coming hard at us. And then he hit that layup on Siakam, and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to lose this game. And I'm not ready for the headlines. And we haven't won. Chris, what were you saying the last time the Raps won a game was against Houston during their fucking losing streak?
Yeah, like the last meaningful win was at the 21st of February against the Sixers, a healthy Sixers. So, yeah, and it's been about a month with a good meaningful win.
During that time, we've lost to Detroit twice. We've lost to Cleveland. We've lost to the Bulls. Oh my God, it was around that time. And this is happening throughout the league, but the Raptors have just been getting rocked with COVID protocols. They got one time they had Siakam, OG, and Fred all sit out at once. I think that was the Detroit back-to-back, and we just looked so bad out there. The only positive that I've taken out of this was Norman Powell has just been fucking balling out. Other than that, this has been a horrendous month.
Yeah. There's not a lot really to dive into when I look at the Raps last month. A lot of questions have been, asked about our front court the whole year. You get rid of Ibaka and Gasol. There's a huge question mark there, and the market for the big man, it's becoming less and less of a thing as the shooting progresses and it becomes more of a small ball league, but there's good centers out there. I'm sorry, there's better centers out there than Baines. Like Boucher is still not starting on a consistent basis, and to me that's puzzling. I think this guy should now be at least playing 32 minutes consistently. Aaron Baines, don't get me wrong, the signing was a big risk. Masai was probably desperate. There weren't a lot of guys out there at the time. He came off, I think he had a career year last year. And just it's not worked out. It just hasn't worked out with the Raptors. You could tell there are some games he'll drop, like 12 in 25 minutes, and that's considered a good game for him offensively. We need more from the big men, man. Like Boucher cannot be going out there and dropping 25 points consistently because we shouldn't really anticipate that from him. Like he's a great player, but he'll never average 25 and 12. So, I mean, at least until if he's going to average that, you have to play at least 30 minutes, and he hasn't been doing that. But in terms of Norman Powell, this guy went from being, like Aulino said before the pod went up, people were questioning his contract and it being overpaid, to now this guy might be one of the most underrated and undervalued players in the league. You start talking about guys like, remember last year or 2 years ago, Pagniello, we used to talk about Middleton and McCollum and how they're stars, but they're undervalued stars. It's looking like Norman Powell is starting to kind of creep into that category. I think I said he was averaging the last month, I want to say maybe since the beginning of February. I remember when OG went out with that first injury. I think that was maybe late January. Ever since that moment, OG went down and Powell went into the starting role. He has been dropping like 22 points per game, and this guy has probably been our most consistent offensive player. You look at all the contracts that we have, Lowry, 1 year left. Fred VanVleet got a pretty great contract. Siakam has the max. OG's contract is pretty hefty too. I mean, are you guys really... because I'm pretty shocked with the way that everything's kind of panned out this year. we all knew that the bubble affected Siakam last year. I thought that would kind of just, brush over, but it kind of hasn't. He hasn't been himself from 2 years ago. Fred VanVleet at times is the best shooter in the league, and then at other times he struggles to drop 15. And then there's OG, and I said it, in our group chat before going on air. This guy has to average more than 14 points per game. I think this is his 4th year in the league. Yes, he's battled personal and injuries, but I think the offense has to start coming now, and he's been a disappointment. And I'm really happy to see a guy like Norman Powell step up, but unfortunately now with our team being outside of a playoff spot and where the trade deadline is looming, we might have to part ways with Norm, and I hate saying that for this team.
Yeah, it is looking rough. I had a feeling when they were playing up in the media, the Rockets losing streak being like 20. When you see they're playing the Raptors, you had to know this is where the streak ends. And unfortunately for the Raptors, that's exactly what happened. But when you look at the Raptors, like, their team doesn't have, I guess, the quality of a team that's on the outside looking in. Like, you look at this team on paper, they should be easily in the playoffs right now. Like, top 5, top 6, just everything, the chemistry they have. So the way that the season has played out, where they're on the outside looking in right now kind of looks like they could be in that play-in tournament, so they could still have a shot, but they're not going to be like that home court team. It's like disappointing considering everything. So maybe they just need a retool a little bit. They don't have to just blow everything up because they have the quality on their team, but maybe this is just going to be one of those years where it happens. It allows them to retool and come back stronger, kind of like what Miami did a few years ago.
See, this is where the those games against the Pistons and the Bulls and those kind of teams are really important, because they're not really out of it. Like, they're 17 and 26, which is not good at all. But the few teams ahead of them, like, there's still not a whole lot of separation in the East. So now going forward, after not winning for a straight month, it's going to be a struggle just to get into that play-in round, which, oh my God, we're not even in. But for Norm, just want to go back to that for a sec. It's kind of been the same story with him. I think the only difference is that he hasn't been injured all year. Because over the last 2 or 3 years, he seems to get going, and it looks like he's going to take a jump, and then he's had shoulder issues, and then he always goes down. I think it was late last year, too. I can't remember. It might have been the Phoenix game where he was just balling out, and he was Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and then he went down with an injury. And then this year, OG going out, he gets back into that starting lineup, and he really hasn't looked back. So $11 million or $10 million, whatever he's on right now, is just criminal based off the way he's playing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think he's going to be a guy that, kind of like VanVleet, he's going to demand a lot in free agency. I don't think he'll get like 25, 26 mil, but I think 20 isn't out of the question. Like, I think a team like the Knicks, Charlotte, like teams like that, Atlanta, they're going to probably look to add a player like him, try to make the salary work. They'll probably push it under 20, see if we can fit in the roster. But if Norm Powell wants to take a chance on himself, I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Chicago or Indiana, Houston even make a run at him, because I think he should really take advantage of this, because he went to college, I think, for the full 4 years. So he came in experienced in the league. He's going to be at an age now where it's probably the best shot he can get at a big contract. So I think he's going to take it.
Yeah, I agree. I think him with the Knicks would be funny, but again, we have to start realistically looking at the Knicks as, I guess, a playoff team this year. And as funny as that sounds, the chemistry's there. I had a feeling that as soon as Tom Thibodeau would go there, I just knew that something would spark. And I guess it was Randall. He's become an all-star, and it's great to see, because guys like Max Kellerman and Stephen A were joking about it when, of course, he's not a Durant or that type of player, but I'm really happy to see a guy like Julius Randle really pull up his socks and be, I don't want to say MVP, type player, but man, like if the Knicks are like a top 5 seed in the East this year, I mean I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Randall's name get a few MVP nods just based off of how great he's played. But going back to Norman Powell, like you just talked about, I got cut out there for a second. But I do agree with what you said, Pagniello. I just feel like he's been scratching the surface for so many years. And just when he's going to get going, he gets injured. And we saw it even, I think it was at the beginning of this year. He came off the bench, I think the first couple games, and he was averaging like no more than 14. And you just knew that it was either his confidence was down because he wasn't in the starting lineup or he was battling an injury. And then as soon as OG goes down with the injury, I guess you could call him now, he's basically the new Norman Powell because every time he wants to get going, he gets injured. So now with Norman being healthy, we're starting to see the new and improved number 24. And I hope the best for him because I know for sure now that he's not coming back to Toronto. Like in a perfect world, we want Powell, we want Lowry, we want Van Fleet, we want all these guys to be together. But when you outperform the money you're getting, it's hard to re-sign you, and that's the definition of Powell this year. I actually have him right now, second or third in most improved player.
Yeah, can't really argue with that. I think last year was technically his breakout when he averaged 16 point something. But yeah, this year it's just another level for him. But you guys were bringing up East teams that he can go to. I can see him going to the West. I could see him fitting in perfectly with that. This might be surprising, but with that Memphis Grizzlies team, I think him and Morant would be a solid backcourt going forward. If we're just thinking ahead here, because I'm pretty much on track with you guys. I'm pretty sure Norm's going to be walking, or if we're going to trade him or whatnot, because yeah, going forward, it's going to be tough to keep all these guys together.
Well, we even talked about it last year. Remember what we were saying about Van Fleet, how he kind of outperformed his contract, and we thought that he was going to the Knicks for, maybe a max deal, or I think that's the same thing with Powell. We've come to the conclusion. Now, again, all three of us agreed last year that Van Fleet, we thought he was walking, and thank God he didn't. But I think this is a different type of situation. Powell, for sure, we can't afford him. You look at, the role that he's contributed. We have guys that are considered to be higher than him on the depth chart. Siakam, Van Fleet, Lowry. They're more, I don't want to say they're better, but they're more important, I guess, to this franchise. So just looking at Powell, I don't see him staying. In terms of Memphis, I mean, I think that's an interesting fit. I want to say the Clippers too, just because I've heard that they've never really been a big fan of Kennard since he's gone there. He hasn't really fit in well. And, you do have the depth there is not good enough. Like you have Terrence Mann who comes off the bench and Paul George sometimes plays the 3 when Kawhi's playing the 4. It really depends how they structure their team. But I think if Powell were to go to to the Clippers and start as shooting guard, you could maybe see Lou Will getting shipped out at the trade deadline. I think that would definitely help the Clippers' chances and Aulino's hopes of them going to the finals.
That's a 3-team trade though, because
what
are they going to give us?
First rounder in 2032.
Oh, beauty!
If they have that, but I don't know. Did they send that over to OKC? You never know. They sent a few of them.
We're gonna get Kennard back.
Nice player, but with the way Norm's been playing, not having it.
Exactly. I mean, another guy too that we got to talk about, Aulino, is Kyle Lowry. Like, is he now with the team losing consistently? Like, are we trading Lowry? Like, I guess this is the final time we're going to talk about it because I feel like we talk about it every week. But I think the last time we talked about it, we were not in 11th place. And I think this is now getting to the point where if I'm Kyle Lowry, and I even saw that, I don't know if it was last game or the game before that, I think it was against the Pistons. Did you guys see when he was in the huddle? He was he looked pissed off. He looked fed up. I mean, Kyle Lowry continues to say that like these are all, lies, and he's never said that he's getting traded, but I think this might be the time, man. If it were to be any time, I think it's now for Kyle Lowry to probably either get traded, try and win a chip, or like you said, Aulino, you extend here and you literally stay put. But I'll ask this last time. Is our boy Kyle Lowry, the greatest Raptor ever, is he finally getting dealt?
Take it.
I'm still 50-50 on it just because like this team, if they were completely trash, like you look at Houston, then I'd say, yeah, he's definitely gone. But like you don't have a bad team here. You're just having a bad year. So if you were to keep Lowry going into this year, maybe make a minor trade and then the offseason make this as part of the promise. Like in the offseason, we're going to go out and get a big. Then I think you have something here where maybe he'll extend for one more year. But then the other side of that, he's playing, or his value right now to other teams is high. So if you can go and trade him, I think the two teams that I read were Philly and Miami that were really pushing for him. Other teams may be calling, but they're not going to give the kind of offer those teams are. So if you can get a Tyler Hero, it's going to be hard to turn down. Like if Miami's calling and they're saying we want to trade for Lowry, I'm saying Tyler Hero or that's it. That's a starter. You got to be bold here with these trades. So it's all going to come down to what are they getting in return. If they're just trading them for like a second-round pick and a future first-rounder that's lottery protected, maybe it might not be worth it. You're just better off holding them for the rest of the year.
Yeah, if Miami offers Tyler Hero, like I want what they're smoking. That's insane. But I don't know. There are probably other teams involved because like everyone seems to be looking for a point guard at this time. So yeah, those are the two teams, mainly Philly you've been hearing about. But man, you guys obviously know I don't want to trade him. I just want him to hold the year out and retire, whatever. But as each day passes, it seems more realistic that a trade's going to happen. So if they were to work something out, wouldn't really be surprised.
Yeah, and I think it's only like a respect factor too. You see how long he's been there, and the way that even DeMar went out when he got traded, he wasn't really, like there was no way of him knowing. Whereas this time around, Kyle Lowry will 100% know beforehand. So if they do trade him, you have to do it in the most respectful way. This guy's done everything for the franchise. He's even gone out and gotten you the chip. He scored the first 14 points in Game 6 to win it all. Like this guy is the greatest Raptor ever. If you trade him, it's gonna be an emotional day for a lot of people if he gets traded. I still think Philly is the right option for him. If I'm a pro and I'm his age and I'm looking at the bigger picture and I want that success for myself, I'm trying to go to Philly. It's his hometown too. There's a little bit of a theme if you guys haven't noticed in Toronto. They usually leave to go home, the last couple big name guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lowry goes to Philly. But I want to just keep talking about the Miami Heat because it is intriguing. They need a point guard. They have Goran Dragic, we saw last postseason. I think he actually averaged the second most. I think he was averaging around 19.7 to 20.6, something like that in the postseason. He's a veteran guard. He's kind of like a Lowry when you look at the leadership. He's a very vocal point guard. But then they've always been kind of questioned with Kendrick Nunn. He hasn't been a consistent scorer. So if you have Kyle Lowry go to the Miami Heat, not only are you garnering another leader, you have Butler already, who's probably one of the best teammates in the league. Bam Adebayo, he likes to be vocal. He's very young as well, very talented. So Aulino, like you said, if they were to offer up Tyler Hero for a Kyle Lowry, I'm 100% doing that if I'm both teams. For Lowry going to the Heat, I don't know if they would beat the Nets or the Bucks, but like it'd probably be as close as it can get with a guy like Lowry, Bam, and Butler. And then with the Raps, you get Tyler Hero. You put him at the 1 or 2, and he's a lethal scorer. He'll get you the points if an OG isn't going, if a Van Fleet isn't going. So either way, those trades can work out. But I'll still say Kyle Lowry goes to Philly if he gets traded.
Yeah, the thing with that, like Miami, I think it's more like, do you want to go with the potential there with Adebayo and Butler and being a part of that core that went to the final last year, or do you want to go with the established guys like Simmons and Embiid, where those guys, if you have Lowry in the mix, are going to dominate and give guys a run for their money. They have a lot of depth there. Danny Green, Dwight Howard, and those kind of spots. If you add Lowry there, I think that puts them over the top. Like, I know it might surprise some people, but Brooklyn really isn't that healthy when you think about it, because Durant, this is his first year back after missing almost 2 years, and he's just really getting back in the mix of it. Like, you don't know how he's going to be in a 7-game series where he has to play like all the time, wear and tear on his body. So this might be the year. If you're going to catch Brooklyn off guard and surprise them, it might be this year. Next year, I think Durant will be back to 100% normal, but this year, I think Philly's the one to surprise team in the East.
Well, moving on, I want to quickly talk about another name that's been garnering interest. He's on a team that is also looking in, is on the outside looking in. I just got rumors here. Lauri Markkanen is getting a lot of trade interest. So if you are a team out there, and if you guys had to maybe, I know I'm putting you guys on the spot, but if you guys had to kind of see Lauri Markkanen go anywhere, what team would you like for him to go to, and which team do you think would be a best case scenario for a guy like a Lauri Markkanen?
Toronto. There's no competition. You will immediately step into the lineup. And I feel like I've been hearing this name on the market for like years now. Marketing that they don't want him, but the guy's, he's a 6'11" center. He's a great shooter, but I don't know. I just assumed he'd be in a perfect setup there in Chicago. Like, that's still a very young team, and everyone's still developing. Zach LaVine's obviously taking it's his team. It's not even close. It's not up for debate. Kobe White, I think they got a nice future. It's just kind of a wait and see situation. So I'm kind of surprised that they want to ship him out, because to me, it would be to a similar team. Like, I'm not saying Toronto and Chicago are on the same level, but to a situation where he can kind of take the throne and just go from there. I kind of feel the same way like about Turner from Indiana.
Yeah, I can see.
You got to find a way in there and go a team where he can kind of play.
Yeah, I can see something similar to what you said there. Like, another team, as you were like mentioning, that Charlotte would be, if they want to go like that. That's a kind of a risky move, but if they can offer something where, like, maybe a second and package someone else out. Like, they haven't really had so much luck there. Like, Bismack Biyombo, he was nice, but like, if you really want to go to that next level and someone that can complement LaMelo Ball, maybe a Markkanen would fit in there. But other than that, the way that they kind of always want to get rid of him, it seems every year, like, that market might not be too hot for Chicago.
Yeah, I agree there. I like, you even look at, so we want to talk about big men. Like, you have, Markkanen, Raquan Holmes. Like, these guys are all available. Marvin Bagley is also available. Boogie Cousins is a freaking free agent. No one has him. So if you're the Raptors and, all these guys are available, which is Lauri Markkanen is obviously the answer when you look at team fit. He's a big guy. He's under 23 years old. He can shoot the three. He's, I think, a 4-year vet now already. He hasn't been happy in Chicago since coming out of his rookie year. So if the Raps were to trade for Lauri Markkanen, I mean, I don't really know what the asking price is. It'll probably start with Powell. But, I mean, like, are you doing that if you're the Raps? Are you trading Powell for Markkanen?
Just a 1-for-1 straight up.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you're Chicago, like, you have Zach LaVine and Kobe White already there as your backcourt. So unless you put Powell at the 3 and you ship out Otto Porter, I mean, that can, I guess, work out. But to me, for Chicago, that makes no sense, trading Lauri Markkanen for a small type player.
I don't even know what they'd want back. But no, it wouldn't make sense for Norm Straight. For us, though, like, maybe it's a bit of a gamble, just because the guy's still developing and he's still, like, is pretty inconsistent at times, but obviously the potential's there and he's very talented. So for the Raptors, if they were to hypothetically trade Norm for Markkanen, that's oh man, that's a tough one. That's a gamble for me.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, the fit's there.
that's a little too risky. I'd rather them go for more of a role player and a first round pick. If you can get a first round pick, that'd be, I guess, the hardest one to get. Like, try to get a first rounder from a team where you'd be able to really use that if you're Masai and flip it at the draft, maybe even move up or move down if you identify a player that could be something. I think Masai's track record in the draft is probably a little bit better to take a gamble on, because you did get Norm Powell for Graves Vasquez. So let's go for the draft, I think, if you're Masai.
Oh my God, I forgot that's how we got him. That was awesome. But okay, I'll move on quickly because I want to talk more now about like injuries. We'll get back to the trade deadline in a sec. But LeBron James got injured last week, and 2 days ago we saw the Lakers get pummeled by the Suns. They lost by, I think it was 17 points. Do you guys see this injury really affecting the Lakers' overall finish in the standings? And if so, how far can you see the Lakers dropping in the standings?
Just based off the regular season standings, probably, yeah. Because I think it's kind of a mess up there. I think they're tied now with Phoenix and the Clippers, and the Nuggets and Portland are like pushing up on them. So, I mean, Davis and LeBron out, yeah, you're definitely going to take a hit there. So, in the long run, once they get everyone back at full strength, I don't think it fucking matters where they finish. But as for right now, yeah, it's a bit of an issue, and they'll probably fall a little bit. But if I'm a Lakers fan, once you get Davis and LeBron back, there's still plenty of time. You're gonna get them back for playoff time. That's all that really matters.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I think this is a team that sits load management. Let's be real. I don't think it's high ankle sprain bullshit. I think this is load management. You saw they were a little too critical before the season started. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just they might be a little bit hurt, but take the extra week, make it a high ankle sprain instead of a regular sprain. And I think that once it's playoff time, like Pagniello said, it won't really matter. I think they'll be back to the Lakers team that's a contender in the West. I still don't think they make it out of the West, but to fall and I don't think they'll be outclassed when they come back. I think they'll probably be back to looking at who's going to be a good complementary piece of those guys, because Kuzma, I think, really needs to step up here in this time that LeBron and AD are out. Maybe he can get more confidence, but like the Lakers, I don't think the way they're built is it will affect them too much. Like, they have some leaders like Marcus Gasol there. I think the other younger guys on the team could benefit from this time to get more confidence in them. Because when LeBron and AD come back, they're obviously going to take more of the offense. They're going to have more of the plays built for them. So this is a time to get your stats up, maybe work on your threes, and work on other offensive moves to go in the playoffs when those guys are sitting out for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Lakers. I wouldn't say it's rigged. Like, I don't think they're load managing to the point where they want to sit games. I mean, I obviously with Anthony Davis, I would take it as carefully as I can, because you just signed him to the 5-year max, and he's 27, 28 years old now. He's in his prime. This is where the chips are going to start coming if everything clicks. So I don't blame them for taking a very cautious approach with AD. I remember when he first got injured and then he started limping, and I think he kept playing off of his ankle, or I think that was the injury. It was his ankle or his knee, and he kept playing off it. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna it's gonna catch up with him. He's not a small guy. Like he's 7 feet tall, 6'10", and all of a sudden now they're saying he's out for the foreseeable future. He's out about, I want to say they said 6 weeks. And I think with LeBron James, he's going to be out, I want to say, at least 3 weeks minimum. I don't see him, because some guys are saying he's always going to be back in 2-3 games if they lose. And if I'm LeBron James, I'm 35, 36 years old. I'm one of the most, like freakish athletes. This guy's rarely gotten injured. The only other time that I can remember a huge injury was 2 years ago when they didn't make the playoffs because of his pulled groin. But other than that, I mean, if I'm the Lakers, I'm doing whatever I can to just chill out. LeBron and AD, just chill out, rest. When the playoffs come, they're going to dominate. I still think they're winning it again. I think they're going back to back. That's just my opinion. But I still think they're not done. I think they're going out at the deadline, and I think they're going to send a message to the league. I think they're going to get Andre Drummond, and I think it's gonna be a fun final between Brooklyn and the Lakers this year.
Aulino, did you say that you don't have them coming out of the West?
I did. I don't have them coming out the West. It's a surprise, I know, but I see them going to the conference final, and this is going to be the year where they don't make it.
Are you saying our boy Kawhi's going to take them out, or is there another team in mind?
If they match up, I like the Clippers matching up with them just because I think Ibaka adds something to it. Like Montrezl Harrell, I just think on the Lakers, he hasn't really had that same impact he did on the Clippers. And I think that he'd probably be the guy they trade at the deadline to get that kind of guy in, like a Drummond or whoever. And then you look around, and I think the Clippers, to me, edge them out. I think if they play Denver, which this might be another surprise, Jokic improved, Jamal Murray improved, so that could be an interesting matchup, and our boy Luka Doncic could be another one. So those are the 3 teams I'm looking out for. And Utah is scaring some teams. So Utah going to the final wouldn't surprise me this year.
Oh, that's a hot take. I love that.
I remember last year I picked them. Last year I picked them going to the final right when they got Conley. Clearly blew up in my face, but maybe this year I was just a year off on that one.
I mean, they're proving you right. They've been first in the league for pretty much all year. They already got 30-plus wins. But as great as they're playing, nothing changes for me. I think they're going out in the second round, especially if they match up with one of the LA teams once the Lakers are at full health. So the West is tough, man. Good teams get fucked all the time because of matchups.
I'm still going with the Lakers to go into the finals. It's just, come on, man. LeBron and AD in a 7-game series. Good luck with that. That's tough. I know Luka Doncic all of a sudden is putting on his MVP pants. They went from 13th in the West to now they're in, I think, 7th. So they're back in a postseason spot. He's probably one of the most exciting players I've ever watched. Luka, like just the stuff he does. Last year when I saw him against the Clippers, he stole 2 games. Porzingis was also out for half the series. So I do like your Dallas statement there, Aulino. I think they can upset a couple teams. But, man, like the only team that I could probably see beating the Lakers is Denver, just based off of what we've seen from Jokic this year. He's been far and above better than AD. But when it comes to the playoffs, I don't want to face Anthony Davis. That's just the problem.
Here's another interesting one. Okay, LA, like I was just saying about Montrezl Harrell maybe being on the move. A name that's been brought up in the past, and good thing I found a pick quickly here. Do you see LA making a move here for our guy DeMar?
Man, like do I see him going to another team?
Do you know the Lakers? Like if the Lakers make a move, does that change everything?
No, I don't see him going to the Lakers just because I feel like they either need a shot blocking center, which is Andre Drummond. They need that defensive game, or they need a shooter because KCP, hot and cold. Caruso's not good enough. Wesley Matthews, unfortunately, hasn't been as good as they've wanted. So I think if I'm the Lakers, I'm going out. I'm probably going to go and try and get maybe a guy like a George Hill, get like a very cheap shooting option. JJ Redick's available. If the Lakers can get JJ Redick, that's a huge problem. So if I'm the Lakers, I'm probably going with either a guy like a Drummond or a Riquen Holmes or maybe even a JJ Redick.
I think speaking of the Spurs, I think the Lakers will try to hold on to Trez, especially now. But San Antonio just bought out LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he would just walk on over to LA, and then you can add to their front court, and you won't have to trade for Drummond, because I'd rather not trade Montrezl Harrell for Andre Drummond. So if you can just add a guy like Aldridge there, keep everyone together. I love the George Hill. If they were to get him, that would be solid too. But for me, I would say Aldridge goes to the Lakers and they keep Montrez. But for DeMar, I don't really see him on the Lakers. I think that would change the whole dynamic of their team, because everything's just kind of run through LeBron and Davis, and I don't really know if he'd fit in that whole system there.
Oh man, I remember Aldridge was supposed to be the next Tim Duncan over there. Oh man, never thought they'd be buying him out. That's rough.
Yeah, that was the one year when they had LaMarcus and Kawhi together. That was the year that Kawhi played 7 games with the Spurs. Because I remember the year before he was 3rd in MVP voting, Kawhi, and that was when LaMarcus was on Portland. That was his last year on Portland. But I love what DeMar's done this year. I guess now that you bring up DeMar, I want to just quickly kind of talk about him. He kind of went from I don't want to say a ball hog, but he went from that ISO type scorer to he's now all of a sudden become a playmaker. And it's amazing to see this guy. When he was on the Raptors, he went from averaging like 27, 4, and 4 to now he's averaging like almost Jimmy Butler type numbers. It's like 19, 6, and 7. So I really like what he's doing in San Antonio. He's become a lot more of an unselfish player. I don't know if that's because of Popovich, just the system around him. He's not going to average 27 anymore, but I just love the way he's transitioned his game. He's always been that very aggressive, paint-driven, 2-guard, 3-guard. But I absolutely love what DeMar DeRozan's doing. If the Spurs were to respect his wishes, I could easily see him going to a team like I've mentioned before, like Atlanta, where now they're in the playoffs. Guys like Bogdanovich, unfortunately, hasn't really worked out there. So you can maybe put DeRozan in at the 3. Maybe Cam Reddish would have to probably go the other way if they want to trade him. But if I'm Atlanta, man, like they're in win now mode. They're in 5th, and Trae Young's getting better. John Collins, I don't know if they're trading him. There's been rumors, but you have Clint Capella, you have DeAndre Hunter coming back from injury. Shit is looking pretty good in Atlanta. So if they can get DeMar DeRozan, I think they're right there with teams like the Pacers and the Heat.
DeMar's he's averaging the most assists in his career, which is amazing, and he's still averaging 20 points per game. And the Spurs are in a playoff spot, and they have been all year, which I kind of question the All-Star situation, because he should have been in that mix 100%.
Easily.
But, yeah. With Atlanta, it was they kind of turned a switch. They're only a game over 500. It's still too early to tell for me, but yeah, they started off kind of, what's going on with Atlanta? Their new acquisitions aren't producing. What's going on with Trae Young? And then as the season went on, everyone just started balling out. They're in that upper half of the Eastern Conference standings now. So, yeah, I guess everything's working out for the Hawks, just as according to plan.
Where do you guys see some of these other names going? Because there's talk about Harrison Barnes, Oladipo. Obviously, he never wanted to go to Houston. That was a nice little risk they took, though. Aaron Gordon, 2-time uncrowned slam dunk champ, on the move. And Collins, I think the Celtics still have that exemption. They have to use it. If they don't, it'll be a massive flop. So could you see one of these guys being a Celtic?
Yeah, easily. And I think it's the guy on the far left. I think Harrison Barnes is the answer for the Celtics. You look at the two-way game that he brings, I think Aaron Gordon, I think, is too much to handle if he were to go to the Celtics. You just think of Gordon, Brown, and Tatum. They're all relatively the same age, and they all want the ball. So I just feel like if they were to get Gordon, it would be a very short stint. Kind of like with Hayward. I feel like it would maybe be like a year, 2-year thing. But that's been the freaking theme in Boston, if you guys have not noticed. Like, they get Tristan Thompson, now he's going to leave. Kyrie Irving he's going to leave. There's been rumors that Kemba Walker is going to get traded. There. So I don't know if he would be like the sixth man, the seventh option there. I don't know if they would put him in at the starting 3. You have Jaylen Brown at the 2. I really don't know what they would do there, but I just love the way Barnes has played this year for the Kings. He's become an afterthought the last 2-3 years in terms of value when you look at his contract. But this guy, man, he could bring a lot to the Celtics. So I'll say for I won't say a cheaper option, but a more realistic approach. If I'm the Celtics, I'm going after Harrison Barnes.
Out of those 4, yeah, I'd probably go Harrison Barnes to the Celtics. I'm with you on the Aaron Gordon one. Like, that guy's got to have the ball. He's a very energetic player, and a guy like Harrison Barnes, he could really just chip in and he could just play his role. He wouldn't be as relied on as he is in Sacramento, even though he's still playing behind Fox and Hield. But the John Collins one doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I don't know why Atlanta would want to ship him out. I just think like they got a really good thing going there with him and Trey as the future of the Hawks. The guy's still really young. Last year he was averaging 25 points per game. He obviously played like not even half the season, and then this year is, nothing's really changed. He's just progressing as a player and he's getting better, and I think he's the future there. So for Atlanta, if they were to ship him out, let's say, and they do, I would want to package him at the absolute most to get a superstar back. Because, like, to me, it doesn't make any fucking sense if they're going to let him go. And if it's an issue on money, I'm letting someone else go. So, yeah, I'm doing everything to keep John Collins.
Oh, man. Can you imagine if Oladipo goes to the Raptors?
I wouldn't want that. I love Oladipo. I wouldn't want that. He deserves better right now because he's been getting thrown around, man. Like, just stay on a team that that genuinely wants you for the long term, and not just for like a go around. Because, like, man, I talked about it with Pagniello. I think like 2 years ago, a year ago. Oladipo almost eliminated LeBron James in the playoffs. Like, people forget how great he was that year. Like, that year, Oladipo was ridiculous. And now, because of the injury, yeah, we're just going to throw him around. If I'm Oladipo, I'm going to absolutely ball out. Like, from this day forward till the end of the year, give this guy the ball as much as he can, get as much trade value as you can for Oladipo, and that's when you trade him. Because right now, like, there's not a lot of trade value in Houston. I'm sorry. You lose 20 straight games. Christian Wood, yeah, the 21 points, it looks great. But you just came back. You've been out for what, like a month and a half? Now Oladipo has averaged like 16. John Wall starting to get his feet, a little bit more warm. He just dropped a triple-double last night. So if I'm Houston and you're really blowing it up, and what are you gonna get for Oladipo right now? Like a first, not even. So, like, I guess I'll ask this question before I go on a rant. What team would be the team to go and get Victor Oladipo? Would it be a Brooklyn? Would it be a Boston? Because I don't see a market for him. As painful as that sounds, I really don't see a market for Oladipo right now.
The Knicks.
Everyone at the Knicks. Everyone to the Leafs.
That's tough, man. Even the Knicks, I feel like that fit would not really gel because you have Barrett there at the 2, and you have D Rose and Quickly and all these guys that are all of a sudden balling out in New York. So I don't know if you getting Oladipo, would Oladipo be the starter, and then you push RJ Barrett to the 3? Like, I don't really know.
So, what do we think about OKC?
Oh, nah. Poor guy.
Just because, there's not much going on over there. SGA's been averaging almost 24 a year, but like they got 1 million first-round picks coming up. Why not sacrifice one of those? Not saying this year's or next year's, but down the line, and then going forward, you can have a nice little backcourt going on with SGA and Oladipo.
Yeah, I mean, that is it's a good option because Oladipo's 27, 28 years old. He's in his prime. He's had big injuries. Maybe he's not the same player as he was 3-4 years ago, but if you can get any sort of chemistry with a guy like Gilgeous-Alexander, and I knew this was coming, Al Horford, he's been balling out recently. So if you could have maybe those 3, I know the West is very hard. They probably wouldn't be a playoff team still, but it would bring a little more interest to OKC, whereas right now there really isn't any. So I like that point. I like that point of him going back to OKC.
Yeah, like it's tough because I was thinking about what you just said about the market for him. Like, I don't even know what his trade value is. He was a part of the fucking 3-team deal, so you still can't even break down what he's worth because so many guys were involved in that. So yeah, I like, it would be like similar to what we said to Markkanen. It would still be like one of those teams where he would need to have the ball going forward. I don't see him as like a 4th or 5th option on a championship team. I just see him as one of those guys where, like we were saying him to the Knicks before he got traded, like one of those teams. So I like the OKC option for real.
Okay, so before we move on to wrestling, there's one more thing I want to quickly talk about. I don't know if you guys just got it on your phone, but the Pacers are listening on trade offers for Brogdon. That's huge. I don't know if they want to trade Brogdon. He's actually been, in my opinion, easily their second best player, behind obviously Sabonis. That guy's unreal. Who would be the team to get Brogdon? Like, for me, it would probably. Can you imagine if the Clippers snagged Brogdon? Like, that would be monstrous. But again, you look at what they had to do to get Paul George, and it's not looking likely. So where would Brogdon go? Would he be a guy to maybe go to the Miami Heat?
Ooh. Oh, okay. Then you can maybe talk about Tyler Hero, because I'm not doing it for Lowry if I'm Miami. But a guy like Brogdon, who he got shafted last year with the injury, but this is a very good player. When Milwaukee let him go, me and Chris said right away, we're like, fucking stupid. That was such a terrible decision. And now he's been such good chemistry with the Pacers. He's been one of the better point guards. That's surprising. I don't know. I guess you should listen to trades on everyone just to see what everyone has to say. Like, if there's a chance to upgrade your team, why not listen? If I'm the Pacers, I don't think it's serious. But for Miami, yeah, if they were to get a guy like him, that would be a serious move.
I just feel like he's kind of like a Powell for me this year. I don't know if he'll be a consistent 21 point per game point guard. He's a great scorer, a great shooter nonetheless, but I don't know if he will average this much. Maybe that's why they're listening to offers, see how much they can get for him. But I absolutely, I think I was saying to you, Pagniello, when I was when I was watching all those games, when I was in my room, I watched, I think it was 3 Indiana games, and I just love this team. If I'm Indiana, I'm really not trading anybody, to be honest. I'm trying to keep it as simple. Like you said, Sabonis simplicity. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. You have Justin Holiday, who I never thought would be as good as he's become. He's a great role player. You have Sabonis, he's a triple-double threat every night. You have Brogdon, who's balling out. Jeremy Lamb is no slouch either. So they have a couple. Miles Turner has also been rumored to go. But if I'm the Pacers, this guy's a defensive player of the year candidate. I'm keeping him. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers sell high on Brogdon at the deadline. But realistically, if I'm Indiana, I don't think it's ever been as bright as it is right now in Indiana, like for a very long time. So I think I'm just trying to keep it as is if I'm Indiana. I don't really want to trade Brogdon or Turner.
Yeah, I agree. I'm keeping them long term, maybe until the draft, and then you see if someone would offer something. But they haven't. They've always been shafted. Like let them have nice things.
To me, I think Miles Turner's the odd one out. Honestly, he really doesn't play a whole lot. It's tough when you're playing behind Sabonis because the way you guys know this, the way their system's set up, everything runs through Sabonis. And with Miles Turner, like he's like their sixth or seventh man, and he's kind of at a point now where the guy has to spread his wings. There's so much more to his game, and he really is such a good player. Remember those series against the Raptors a few years ago, and him and PG were fucking giving us headaches. But I think he'd be the odd man out. I don't know if you want to hold on to him. He doesn't play a whole lot or as much as he should over there. But like the Pacers, you look at that team and some of their young guys, and I think they're in store for a conference final soon, maybe in the next couple of years. So seeing them in 10th place right now is kind of surprising. I don't think it's going to last.
Yeah. Last thing I want to quickly talk about, and then we'll go to wrestling, is LaMelo Ball is done for the year. He fractured his wrist. I'll start with Aulino because I know you're a big Ball fan. How much does this hurt Charlotte's chances of making any postseason, and is he still your rookie of the year?
Yeah, they still should make it, but I don't think you're gonna have any success or be one of those teams that might surprise someone in the first round. So, like, this is a tough one. He really helps the offense over there. Really helped Gordon Hayward's game. Just their chemistry together was really good to see. I don't see him winning Rookie of the Year now just because of that. Like, there's still a lot of games left, and if he's going to be out this long term, I think this kind of seals it. If he played the whole year, he's definitely, like, the numbers, the way he was progressing, he's easily Rookie of the Year. But I think the injury coming now in March and right before the deadline and still another chunk of the season, their standings might take a little bit of a dip. They might be in that play-in tournament now. So I see Charlotte now. It's going to be an uphill battle, and LaMelo won't be Rookie of the Year.
I don't think he's winning Rookie of the Year, and I don't think they're finishing in the top 8. I think they're one of those teams where like everything has to go right for them, and everything has been going right. And LaMelo Ball just going down just kind of shits all over that. So like they're tied with Boston right now. Boston's one of those teams where it's like, okay, let's cut the shit. They'll be up there. They just got to get a little more consistency, and then they'll start going, kind of like Miami when they were in 11th, 12th, and we're like, okay, give it some time. They'll be back up there. I think the Pacers are taking one of those spots, whether it's Charlotte or the Knicks. But I'm with Aulino. I think they'll be in that play-in round. But yeah, this is brutal for Charlotte.
If you guys had to grade, and I know, okay, so going into the draft, I really didn't think LaMelo would be this good. I knew he would be good. I didn't think he would be as dominant right away as he was. If you guys had to give it a grade, is it safe to say that he's smashed expectations? Like he's an A+ grade for his rookie year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Just that.
Well, no, because I was saying to my friend at work, because before, I remember the 2020 draft, and because of COVID, you know, like people were bashing this draft. They were saying how like it wouldn't be as good, and like what I've seen with Anthony Edwards the last like 2 weeks, he is looking like a problem. And now with LaMelo Ball balling out, and even Wiseman in very limited minutes, you see what he can do. I'm really starting to like this draft. I think those 3 guys, they're going to be problems moving forward.
Edwards looks like a little D Wade out there. It's so adorable. When he just throws it down on people. But with LaMelo, like there's just a certain confidence about him. Like it's not even about the stats, just the way he kind of takes over a game and everything's just kind of run through him. And the guy looks amazing out there, and he's such a smart player. So him going down, it sucks for the league because Charlotte was finally being talked about after all this time, and MJ's not going to have a Rookie of the Year. Damn, it's probably going to go to the Ant-Man over there with the fucking 3rd worst team in the league. But yeah, this rookie class has just been awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, Aulino, let's go to WrestleMania, buddy.
Oh,
This is your time. It's your
boy.
show.
Oh, no. What do you want to talk about it? About this amazing show? The fact that they made The Miz wrestle a celebrity now, it looks like? Or are we talking about this match being a part of night 1's announcement?
We'll just talk about how they literally announced everything. They put night 1, night 2. Oh, so we know every single match that's happening. There's no surprises anymore. It's so depressing, man. Like, come on. Like, it's one thing to announce the matches, but then you're announcing it on which nights they're going to be on. It's like, come on, man. Like, I want some sort of surprise. But with this actually surprised me. Seeing these 2 guys actually on night 1 and not Roman and Edge actually surprised me. I thought they would actually give this the night 2. I don't know why. I just thought, with Lashley's momentum, I thought they'd give him maybe the main event, but no, they're giving it to Roman.
The back of your mind, though, Roman's that golden boy. And with Edge coming back, he's got to close it out.
That is true. But you could also argue that Drew's the golden boy, too.
The chosen one. Oh, yeah.
Do you think this main event's, though? Night 1? Because they also announced, let me see here. Miz vs. Bad Bunny is also night 1. Sasha and Bianca Belair, night 1. So I guess of those, Bad Bunny and the Miz isn't main eventing, but are these 2 going to main event, or could Bobby Lashley and Drew be the main event?
Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to go with freaking Sasha and Bianca main eventing. I don't know why. I just feel like that's happening. I feel like if they're going to have Bianca Belair win the title, they're going to have her main event the first night. I just see that happening, with women, getting more of a prominent role in wrestling. And if you have like a girl like Bianca Belair winning her first title, closing the show on night 1 in a very, feel-good type scenario where Sasha's now the heel, I assume. I'm pretty sure she is. You have Bianca win. I think that's fitting. But again, like, do you really want to do Drew and Bobby dirty like that? I don't know, but you know what? I'll go with Bianca main eventing.
It wouldn't totally surprise me, just because when you look at night 2, you have Asuka and Rhea, and they will 100% not main event. So if you're going to have to do it on one of the nights, it might be Bianca and Sasha. And Sasha's but over Drew and Bobby. She has more of those clutch performances at these times. She has the experience. So to throw her in with Sasha like that, it's going to be amazing. Wouldn't really be surprised if they closed.
And there's a couple weeks left. Are you sold on Brock Lesnar not being a part of WrestleMania, or do you still think he'll be inserted in some way?
Man, I'm sold. I'm sorry. I don't see him coming now. I think he would have been inserted into something by now. Maybe if he were to come maybe like a week before and like F5 both Drew and Lashley, and then he inserts himself in a triple threat at Mania, that would be absolutely amazing. Then I would actually kind of be interested in this show a little bit more, because the build for me with Drew and Bobby has kind of been missing something. And you know what it's been missing? It's been missing Brock Lesnar. When I thought about, one of the two WWE big title main events to have a triple threat, I didn't expect Edge and Roman to be that match. I expected it to be Drew, Bobby, and Brock. I didn't expect it to be Bryan, Edge, and Roman. We've been talking about Bryan, we've wanted him to be in the WWE title picture, and I thought, maybe this would have been the year with The Miz and Bryan, with how everything kind of worked out, and that's obviously not happening now with The Miz taking on freaking Bad Bunny. It's not even a tag team match. I don't understand even bringing up Damian Priest if he's not even going to be involved, but whatever. I just feel like Drew and Bobby is, even if Drew were to win, I just feel like it's missing something. And if you're just going to have Drew McIntyre win the title just for the next night for Brock to come back and beat up Drew McIntyre, then to me, that's just a big waste of time. So I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope if Lesnar is literally not going to be at WrestleMania, I don't want to see him at least till SummerSlam, because like Pagniello said before we talked about this would have been the third time that they do it with Brock. So I don't want to see that typical booking again. So if Brock comes back before Mania, I will be pleasantly surprised.
Well, you said about doing something dirty there. I think Lesnar not being a part of this, like especially with AEW and all that bullshit, how can you not bring Brock a part of this? Like, I think I agree with you there. Like, they're missing something.
That little something is Leo Rush. I just want to see Brock. Doesn't even have to be inserted into the match. Just come out after and fuck them both up. When the match is over, just 2 F5s, 2 Kimuras, grab the title, and then hold it up high. And then there's your next 5 months of booking.
Like, the one thing I want to talk about with this show, or I guess I'll talk about Fastlane, was the main event was outstanding between Roman and Daniel Bryan. And I'm not surprised with them going with the triple threat. Like we said, I think it was last week, you could have Edge take limited spots in the match. He could have his rests. He's in his 50s now. So, but I guess I'll ask this question. I'll start with Pagniello. Does Edge's Royal Rumble win just kind of feel off now, with like Daniel Bryan just kind of emerging now as that bona fide number one babyface? Or do you think it's better for a guy like Edge to be in this tweener position come WrestleMania?
I think more the first one. I've always felt that way, just because I don't think there should be any pay-per-views after the Royal Rumble, because it still makes no fucking sense to me. But when you still look at Daniel Bryan's journey, I can't really be mad at it. It's just kind of a win overall, because when you look at the whole picture, Edge shouldn't even be here. He really should. He hasn't been wrestling since 2010, and the fact that he's back in this spot, not eased his way into it. He returned at the Rumble and he fucking won. And now he's taking on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It doesn't really say a whole lot for his legacy, because he's done everything. So to me, I don't look at it as they're shitting on Edge. I just think it's more of a win for Bryan, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think Edge, I like that they put Bryan into it, but like I agree with Chris said before, if there's a match that deserved or that you would think would be the multi-man one, it'd be Drew, Bobby, and not Roman and Edge. And even speaking about that Drew and Bobby one, do you see anything wrong with this picture here? Because I think The Miz would have been perfect to be in that multi-man with Drew and Bobby, but instead he's getting shafted a little bit. He's facing Bad Bunny. Like, is this a letdown for The Miz, or more of a promotion because he's with a Grammy award-winning guy? How do you view this?
If you say it's a better for him, you're nuts, because he was just the WWE champion after 10 years of not having it. Sorry, 11 years. Wow. Well, basically 10. I'll say 10 years without having it, and then he literally has it for 2 weeks, drops it, and face Bad Bunny. See, like, my whole thing with this whole feud was I thought it would revolve more around Damian Priest and having his big like moment in the ring at WrestleMania against a former 2-time Grand Slam champion. But instead they're going with Bad Bunny getting his, it's cool for Bad Bunny because he's a big wrestling fan and he's living his dream of having that WrestleMania moment, that match. But like, for what? For publicity, he just won a Grammy. Like, it's great, but like John Morrison coming back last year was in that ladder match with Jey Uso and who else was it? The Miz? Was it a triple threat? And it was absolutely fantastic. And then you like Damian Priest. This is a guy, he came in the Rumble. He made a couple huge eliminations. He got Edge's approval on the Raw, so you assume that he was going to be in for big things. And now he doesn't even have a Mania match. So for me, this just screams letdown. No offense to anybody involved, but this is a big letdown.
I think regardless of what the Miz was doing, it was destined to be a letdown. The man was WWE champion 2 weeks ago. He's facing Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. Something's not right. But like, if you're gonna do anything, I don't know, like, if you're gonna throw something last second together, it's completely flipping the script here. But like, Miz and Morrison, are they not a fucking tag team? Who are the tag team champions right now? Because the New Day haven't really been, like, they're champions and they just won it off of Benjamin and Cedric, but like, there's a lot of guys that are still not really doing a whole lot. When you look at all their careers, like Miz, Morrison, and Kofi, they've been connected for a long time. Wouldn't those four going at it for the tag team championships at least be somewhat of a consolation instead of this bullshit?
Exactly. Because even when the New Day won the titles 2 weeks ago and they became, I don't know how, I feel old as hell. They're 11-time tag champs. Holy shit, I did not know they won that many times. But the New Day won it again, and you literally look at, after they won, I looked at the tag division and I'm like, there is nobody for them to face. So you put yourselves in a corner with the New Day winning the titles and the whole Hurt Business there. I guess it's all now on MVP and Lashley. So yeah, I mean, what the hell are Miz and Morrison doing? And if anything, I thought this was going to be a tag team match. So like, if anything, the consolation prize here is the Miz is putting over Damian Priest, but instead you're seeing Bad Bunny here. He's going to be gone after WrestleMania. He just handed the 24/7 title to R-Truth again. So we know that Bad Bunny's not going to be sticking around anymore. His stick was funny. It was whatever. But man, like you said, there's a lot of history there. That's just kind of, there's a fat question mark between Kofi, The Miz, John Morrison. Even with Ali and Kofi, like, you kind of thought that something was going, right, Aulino? You mentioned that like 3 different times. And then they just dropped the ball with that. And now all of a sudden Retribution turns on Ali. So what is he, a face now? I don't really, this is the thing with WrestleMania this year. It was going so well, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what's going on with booking. They're announcing matches out of nowhere. Like, no offense, like, I'm gonna go off right now. Who the fuck wants to see Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon? Who wants to see that? Because we saw Shane versus The Miz. We saw Shane versus AJ. Like, come on, Shane. It's getting to that point. You gotta get out of here, man. Like, you're becoming a Goldberg. You're just staying here just to get those matches. Why? I don't get it. And Braun Strowman deserves way better. This guy was the Universal Champ last year against Goldberg, and I was going up against Shane McMahon. I don't know, man. I don't care for it. Like I said, I think 2 weeks ago, this was my happy-go-lucky Chris, where I said, oh, it could be like Survivor Series 03, Kane and Shane. If it could be like that, then sure, I'll watch it. But you know what? This is 2021 Braun Strowman. We're not getting 03 Kane. Are you kidding me? If anything, we would have got that with 2017 Strowman. God, my little rant there. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. Come on, man.
I think you don't really want to see it, because when you just look at Braun as a whole, you want him to be in a more prominent role. But when you look at his past manias, like you just kind of recently brought up, Like he gets shit on around this time. It seems like he dominates 10 months out of the year. And then it's like, oh, when the build for WrestleMania comes, it's like, okay, you take a seat, kid. You're not ready. So the fact that he's in this spot with Shane, and now that he's on Raw, I'm not liking what they're doing. But like the fact that he's on the program every week now, and he's being featured, and especially with Shane, Vince actually trusts Braun not to fucking kill him during their match. Like, yeah, it's like when Shane took on the Miz, and we're like, he could be doing something better. But for Braun, I don't know. Maybe it could benefit him. That's the most positive fucking thing I can say about this.
Is this going to be a squash though? Like you're looking at Shane, like he even said Braun gets to choose the match, and Braun, if he doesn't choose a false count anywhere, this match is going to be very limited. So that also brings up a question. Like who is gonna even the odds here for Shane? Like he's going to get squashed and someone's going to come out to help him win. So who do you want that guy to be?
If someone's going to come out and help him win, I want it to be freaking Vince McMahon himself. But that's not happening. So I don't know, man. Like, is there any big time guys that haven't really come back? Like, can you imagine Triple H comes out and helps him? Because we never really got that Braun Strowman Triple H feud. Remember way back Survivor Series, they were hitting each other, and then all that shit went down, and then it never ended up happening. So if Triple H were to come out and help Shane McMahon, the family, help him beat Braun Strowman, then you know what? Then maybe it would be entertaining. But other than that, I see Braun Strowman absolutely beating the holy hell. And I swear to God, if this is a singles match, if I find out that this is a one-on-one singles match, oh my God. Oh, it'll just be another rant from Chris.
This would be a nice way to introduce Karrion Kross.
Oh.
Boom. You need another killer up there that could kind of
or Keith Lee
go toe with Braun. Or maybe Keith Lee sells out. Lines with Shane, backs him up. I would have loved. This was the first thing that went through my head. It doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's definitely not going to happen. But when you said who was going to back him up, the very first thing I pictured was at Crown Jewel when Shane was sitting on Drew McIntyre's shoulders and the fucking fireworks were going off. Not gonna happen, but it popped in my mind. I started dying. But if Shane were to actually win and someone's gonna back him up, like maybe you bring up a Karrion Kross, and for him to get that moment, because I can't really think of any other monsters at this second.
I think Omos would have been perfect. Like if they kept him and AJ out of a tag match, which they're probably going to win the titles, but going back to like that Raw Underground and how he was like with them and stuff, that would probably make the most sense. Him and Braun, both big guys. But other than that, I don't see anybody, unless they bring Kane for a fucking one-off, but I don't see like the need for it. Like, what are you going to do, Braun versus Kane again after him and Big Show kind of put him over earlier on? Like, this whole thing doesn't make sense. But guess what? The last match, which we're getting a new development on every week. Randy Orton and the new look Fiend. They set Randy on fire again. I don't know why. Poor guy. Getting flamethrowers thrown at him, lights falling on him. And just like I predicted would probably happen, if he were to lose, it'd be kind of like a squash, and he got squashed. Alexa Bliss beat Randy Orton, and she's not getting a title match. The Fiend comes out. What are they doing here with Randy?
What are they doing here with Randy? That's the big question. Does he deserve this spot? I mean, yes. I've been saying for the whole year he's been probably one of the hottest guys in the company. The Fiend has been nowhere to be fucking found the last... I want to say I've seen him since we went to SummerSlam. I want to say I've seen him like 5 times in 2 years. So he's becoming that mythical god. And just look at him. He looks like a fucking swamp creature coming out of the freaking water. The Fiend is going to squash him regardless. I don't see Randy really getting a lot of offense. If it's a cinematic match, maybe. But if this is an actual... I was saying to my friend at work, like, if this is all just for a cinematic match, I'll actually snap, because this has been being built for, like, I want to say 4 months. So I want to actually see these guys fight. But again, we've already seen these two go at it at WrestleMania before. So be expected of getting let down, because I don't expect this match to really go on long, and it's a predictable outcome. So my biggest question is, what happens with both these guys after this match? Because I really have no effing clue.
So I think with Randy, you know the drill. Doesn't really matter. The man's established. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He could probably disappear for 5 months, then come back and be the hottest thing in the fucking world again. And for the Fiend, like you said, we haven't really seen him a whole lot since SummerSlam, handful of times. So he could probably disappear too, come out and fucking force black shit out of someone else's mouth. So this has been dragging on. The payoff better be something special. Nice boot to the head to Bliss, like we were talking about.
And like the only other thing that pisses me off is we thought the Fiend was the face, and I don't even know now. And like Randy was just coming off as the top heel in the company. I thought he was a bigger heel at one point than Roman. Maybe I want to say in December, but obviously now Roman's taking the number one spot as the top heel, him and Lashley. But even Lashley recently has been getting cheers. Randy here is definitely getting cheers. Come on. Randy has to be the face, I guess, out of the two right now, because Alexa Bliss, everyone wants to see her get punted in the face. So yeah, if Randy gets an RKO or a kick or something to Bliss, he's getting probably one of the biggest pops in the night, 100%.
Yeah, like he has to be the face. Like he got flamethrower and he's spitting out tar or whatever the hell that shit is out of his mouth all the time. He couldn't even make his entrance, the poor guy. Already was getting like demon was possessing him, and then the Fiend comes out, grabs his foot, couldn't even do anything in the match. He just wanted to hit an RKO and go home. That's all he wanted to do. Couldn't do that. The Fiend comes out looking like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but I don't know what they're doing here. Like I was actually looking forward to this. I agree with you guys. It's dragged on a little too long. I don't know. They're backed in a corner with this match. Like, is it going to be cinematic? Is it going to be some regular match? There's going to be fans involved now, so they might turn their attention and start cheering Randy when maybe backstage they want the Fiend to be cheered. So this is a total mess, I think. And just hopefully when it's all done, they're both in something meaningful, or else it's going to be a huge letdown.
Yeah,
I'm with Chris though. I love the cinematic matches, but for this one, I think it's kind of necessary to see them kick the hell out of each other.
Yeah, like it's been if it was like a 2-month build, or not even like a month, and like okay, maybe like remember how the Fiend and Cena was? It was just kind of announced, and then it's like okay, like the cinematic match made sense because they went back on their history, at WrestleMania 30, and him, never turning heel in his career, and that was pretty cool. But in terms of this, this guy's like you said, he hasn't been able to like have an entrance. He's been talking to himself through monitors. He's been throwing up black stuff. Like this is getting personal here. Like Randy should beat the shit out of him. This should not be a cinematic experience. This should be a brawl. This should be, you know what? This should actually be like a Hell in the Cell or a no DQ. This should be war. So I want to see I also want to see Randy get the win, but we all know that's not happening. So the Fiend's gonna win, and he's probably gonna fuck off till SummerSlam, and that's that. So like you said, it's been dragging for what, like I want to say 3 months now, and the payoff has to be like, what do you think the big payoff is, Pagniello? Like the Fiend getting the win and he's back for good. Like, is that the big payoff? Because I need a bigger payoff than that.
It's more something to do with Bliss for me, just because it's been her and Randy this entire time because the Fiend just came back. So, like, for me, like, yeah, I want to see Randy kick the fucking soul right out of her head.
Oh my God.
Like, can you see this being the last time we see the Demon Bliss, maybe? Like, he punts her into normality?
Yeah, like, literally, I want him to kick her so hard that she goes back to fucking sparkles and all that shit.
Then Randy could call her.
RKO the contacts out of her fucking eyes. One of those.
Oh my god, I gotta get a Randy Orton shirt before April 10th, man. Holy shit. I fucking love Randy.
I think this is like, okay, the big payoff here for Randy, like if there is a payoff, like he already had a payoff in a way because they had a cinematic match, that Inferno match, and he did set the guy on fire. So that was one payoff. With the Fiend, I don't know, like, can you see him face Bobby Lashley after this, or Drew McIntyre, or like Alexa Bliss has to, I think, get a title match, but if Rhea Ripley's a champ, that makes no sense at all. So they're backed in a corner regardless. That's why I want to see just Randy win.
Honestly, man, if I'm WWE, you look at how the last title run went for the Fiend. I can't even talk. When he faced Seth Rollins, it went so poorly. That's why if I'm booking the Fiend for like the next year, I don't think I'm giving him even a title, man. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna start building up his character, his legacy. He could be that guy that wins every single feud, but doesn't really go for the title, at least for the time being. Because Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, like these are type of guys that need to go on meaningful runs too. And if you put the Fiend in a program like that, the Fiend obviously can't lose. So, I mean, I can maybe see the Fiend losing to Drew, but not to Bobby Lashley. So if Bobby were to retain the title, and then the big payoff here is for the Fiend to go right back in the title picture, I think they would easily regret that decision. So for now, I just think the Fiend should just relax like he has been doing, and not win it, not go into any title pictures anytime soon.
If he's getting revenge, no person he hasn't beaten the Fiend? Bill Goldberg. Bring Bill back. Get the Fiend to let him get his win.
Oh, for fuck.
Maybe Bill will start shooting up black stuff out of his mouth too when he does his entrance with the fireworks. Maybe that'll be his thing, and they have a one-off cinematic match. Goldberg can spear him through a fucking cabinet or something, and then they can end it.
You already know my answer to that. I hope not.
That's all for this week, boys.
It's looking like it.
Alrighty. Take us home, buddy.
CRISPR. Boom.
Well, we talked a lot this week. Talked about the NBA trade deadline. Talked about the Raps struggling, losing 9 in a row. Last meaningful win over a month ago. No big deal, though. We're going to bounce back. We're going to get DeMarcus Cousins, and we're going to get all those other good free agents. And, of course, we always have to talk about WrestleMania. For me, it's more always in a negative light, but, that's just how it is. I'm a realist. I like seeing it how – I hope Randy wins, man. I keep looking at this picture, and I don't really want the Fiend to win. But you know what? That's normal because no one's seen the Fiend in like months. So I don't really care for it. But that's it for this week. This is episode 123. Hopefully by next week, maybe the Raps will be a completely different team. We don't know, but stay tuned for episode 124.